Hello everyone, welcome to Brandeis Middle East News. My name is Mark Cohen and I'm your host for today's program. Today we will talk about the failed Turkish coup d'etat attempt happened in 2016. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey, and I will share some information on history of Turkey's previous successful coup d'etat attempts and political conflicts and tensions the government and the citizens face. When we look at the history, Turkey had a very unstable politics. Let's talk about the first successful coup d'etat that Turkey faced in 1960. The Turkish coup of May 27th was the first coup d'etat in the Republic of Turkey. The disagreement between the right-wing government and the left-wing opposition led to military intervention. The incident took place at a time of a socio-political turmoil and economic hardship, as US aid from Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan was running out. Prime Minister Adnan Menderes was executed, however he was posthumously pardoned. The second successful coup d'etat happened on September 12, 1980. Clashes between left and right-wing groups in the streets and thousands of assassinations triggered a coup. The National Security Council, headed by Kenan Evren, declared coup d'etat on the national channel. The National Security Council then extended martial law throughout the country, abolished the parliament and the government, suspended the constitution, and banned all political parties and the trade unions. One of the coup's most visible effects was on the economy. On the day of the coup, it was on the verge of collapse with three-digit inflation. There was large-scale unemployment and a chronic foreign trade deficit. Another very important conflict the people and the government of Turkey had was the Gezi Park movement, which happened in 2013, and was triggered by the authoritarianism of President Erdogan, lack of public consultation, violation of democratic rights, media censorship and disinformation, and the use of excessive force by the police. In the early morning of May 28, 2013, a group of activists gathered for a sit-in protest at Gezi Park in central Istanbul. The green space, a rarity in the city, is located right next to Istanbul's famous Taksim Square. The protesters were angry at government's plan to cut down trees to create space for a new shopping mall. The activists erected tents and launched their own version of Occupy movement. The denial of their right to protest and the violence used by the police touched a nerve, and a wave of anti-government demonstrations swept across Turkey. The authorities' reaction was brutal. Over the next few months, police reportedly used unnecessary and abusive force, including tear gas, water cannons, and beatings, to prevent and disperse peaceful demonstrations. By early July, over 8,000 people had been injured. There is strong evidence linking the death of 3 protesters to the abusive force of the police. We had a great talk with my friend from Pakistan, Abdurrahman, about the Turkish coup attempt. Let's see what he believes in. Was the coup attempt a real one, or it was staged by Mr. President Erdogan? Welcome to Brandeis Middle East News. Today we're with Abdurrahman from Pakistan, and we're going to talk about Turkish coup attempt that happened in 2016. So, Abdul, do you think that this coup attempt was staged by Mr. President Erdogan, or it was, as President Erdogan say, made by Gülen movement?
Looking at the consequences, or the targeted attempts to imprison a lot of Turkish people, Turkish civilians, the number which is going above like more than 100,000 people. We see it could certainly be claimed. It could be certainly associated with the current regime, Erdogan regime, that they might have organized or staged the coup, but it could be either way. It could be said to have you can say, like, could have been an attempt to overthrow Erdogan regime as well. Because, Mark, how I see this is there is a continuous war in Turkey going on between secular supporters of secularism and supporters of Islam, and it does ring a bell to me that there has been a parallel structure within the Turkish government and within the Turkish governance governing body. And if we look at the events that may have led to this you can say framing of all these events and framing of people, especially removing judiciary members at the people who were at the highest posts, and the teachers closing of so many universities which were helping a lot of students, like international students as well, and organization that has schools in more than 160 countries. And this targeted attempt to just you can say halt the proceedings of one particular organization means that that organization was definitely getting powerful, and was definitely seen as a threat to the current regime. So it could either way, like either Erdogan just is riding the wave of fear that was created by that attempt, no matter who was responsible for that attempt, but definitely he has staged and to some extent he has framed or like diverted the reaction to that coup attempt towards his own benefit, I would say.
Because like in Turkey, there are some opinions that Erdogan staged this coup attempt because some things don't match. While the coup was going on, Erdogan went from Marmaris, where his summer place, to fly to Istanbul, which the F-14s were like in the sky shooting the parliament. How could he land to another city and didn't capture? There's some questions on mind.
Considering also, like, another thing that could be discussed is that the previous attempts has been successful for the most part. Whenever the military has wanted to throw away a democratic republic, democratic government, they have been very successful. And considering the fact that the very small number of people involved, and then those people who happen to be close to Erdogan himself, I remember, I don't recall the name of the general who was actually awarded for his war.
The old coup, or
in the 2016 coup, one of the generals who was recently awarded for his services in Syria, I believe, was also involved.
General who they say that managed this coup attempt.
Yeah, he was actually honored one of the civil one of the military awards of Turkey by Erdogan himself. So it is very complicated because the facts that at this point we have might not be enough to completely put the blame on one party, but the effects or the consequences or the follow-up to that coup attempt certainly points that there is some hidden facts or some hidden agenda behind this entire propaganda to destabilize Turkey.
Definitely.
But again, the organization itself, we are talking about the Gulen moment, or as they call the FETÖ moment.
Yeah.
It is very powerful, very strong, and it could be seen as a threat to Erdogan and his allies, you can say, because once Mr. Gulen was once Mr. Erdogan demanded the United States that the Gulen should be handed over to Turkey.
Yeah. Do you think they should do it in terms of justice?
Being Turkey one of the biggest allies of the United States in the region, and the ongoings of the Syrian war and everything, I believe that if United States went against handing over Mr. Fethullah Gulen to Erdogan, that means he certainly holds a great importance to United States as well as the other countries who were putting in pressure on United States to keep him away from the hands of Erdogan. So I believe that the entire this entire scenario is a great is like a major attempt to destabilize Erdogan's government. I don't know what could be the factor. Maybe he's seen as a corrupt politician, because once he was endorsed by the very organization that we are talking about, he was part of that organization, and
they used to be very good friends with Mr. Fethullah Gulen.
So either I think it's a political drift that has taken apart these two parties, and they have decided to go against each other. But I feel like the humans are suffering. The people, I went to a Turkish school, and I got to know a lot of Turkish teachers who were very, very professional, very very wonderful human beings, who happen to be taken into prisons right now. And I believe that, even though my opinion could be biased, but I believe that putting into prison over 100,000 people, and the lists being already prepared, as soon as the coup happened, we saw who was being taken away. Certain people were pinpointed.
It was very targeted before that it happened, I believe.
Yeah, so they knew who to cherry pick, which is very surprising, which means that they already knew who they have to target if something happens. So, which is very, you can say, very interesting, very very surprising, and very shocking, especially the violation of human rights at this bigger level, because the people are being beaten to death in these prisons. This entire scenario explains, okay, Mr. Erdogan definitely saw a great threat to his own power, and especially the referendum that followed up, giving him autonomous powers.
He gained a lot of power after this coup.
And that could be seen as a popularity trick as well. He's just riding the wave of the destabilization that was created by the coup attempt. So there are certainly possibilities of him staging all this for his own good.
Thank you very much, Abdul. It was a great conversation, and I hope
You're
you
welcome.
have a great day.
You're welcome.